Someone insults you, your heart starts beating faster. Your mind immediately prepares a response. You want to prove them wrong. You want to fight back. You want them to feel what they just made you feel. And before you realize it, they are controlling you. Not with force, not with power, but with a few words. The Stoics understood something most people never learn. If another person can control your emotions, they can control your behavior. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire while facing war, betrayal, disease, political enemies, and the deaths of people he loved. Yet he constantly reminded himself of one principle. You cannot always control what happens around you, but you can train yourself to control what happens within you. That doesn't mean becoming cold. It doesn't mean suppressing your emotions. It means something far more powerful, feeling the emotion without becoming its servant. Here are 7 Stoic rules that can help you do exactly that. Rule 1. Create a gap before you react. Most emotional mistakes happen in seconds. Someone criticizes you. You immediately defend yourself. Someone sends an angry message. You instantly type one back. Someone disrespects you. And before you even understand what you're feeling, you react. The Stoics trained themselves to interrupt this process. Epictetus taught that events themselves do not disturb us. Our judgments about those events do. That means there is a small space between what happens and what you do next. That space is where your power lives. Imagine receiving a message that makes you furious. Your first instinct might be, I'm going to answer this right now. Don't. Put the phone down. Walk away. Give yourself 10 minutes. Because the version of you that exists 10 minutes from now may make a completely different decision. A Stoic does not try to eliminate emotion. A Stoic refuses to let the first emotional impulse make the decision. So the next time anger takes over, ask yourself, what happens if I do nothing for the next 10 minutes? Often the smartest response begins with silence. Rule 2. Separate the event from the story. Suppose someone doesn't reply to your message. That's the event, but then your mind begins writing a story. They're ignoring me. They don't respect me. I must have done something wrong. Maybe they're angry with me. Within minutes, one unanswered message becomes an emotional crisis. But notice what happened. The message didn't create most of the suffering. The story did. This distinction was central to Stoic philosophy. There are facts. And then there are the interpretations we attach to those facts. Learning to separate the two changes everything. Instead of saying, he humiliated me, say, he said something I didn't like. Instead of, everything is going wrong, say, something happened that I didn't expect. The first version creates emotional chaos. The second gives you room to think. So when your emotions become intense, ask yourself, what actually happened without my interpretation? Strip away the story, return to the facts, because your mind becomes much harder to manipulate when you stop believing every story it creates. Rule 3. Stop demanding that reality obey you. Much of our anger comes from one hidden expectation. Reality should behave the way we want it to. People should treat us fairly. Traffic should move quickly. Plans should work. People should keep their promises. Life should reward our effort. But reality never signed that agreement. Epictetus divided life into 2 categories, things within our control and things outside our control. Your choices, your effort, your attitude, your actions. These belong to you, but other people's opinions, the past, traffic, weather, luck, these do not. And yet, we spend enormous emotional energy fighting things we were never able to control. We get angry at the past. We worry about the future. We try to change other people's opinions. We resist what has already happened. And every time we do this, we give our peace to something outside ourselves. The Stoic response is different. When something goes wrong, ask yourself one simple question. Is this actually under my control? If the answer is yes, act. If the answer is no, stop negotiating with reality. Acceptance does not mean liking what happened. It does not mean giving up. It means recognizing reality as it is, so you can decide what to do next. You cannot change reality by being angry at it. You cannot rewrite yesterday by worrying about it. And you cannot control another person's mind, but you can always choose your next action. Control what belongs to you. Release what doesn't. Rule 4. Never hand someone else. The remote control. Think about the person who annoys you most. Maybe it's a coworker, a relative, a stranger online, or someone from your past. Now imagine they discovered a button. Every time they press it, you become angry. Would you willingly give them that button? Of course not. And yet, that's exactly what happens when someone learns how easily they can trigger you. One comment ruins your afternoon. One criticism destroys your confidence. One insult stays in your mind for days. Think about that. They spoke for 10 seconds. You continued the conversation in your head for 72 hours. They moved on. They ate dinner. They slept. They continued living their life. But you kept replaying the moment again and again and again. So ask yourself, who is really controlling whom? Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that other people's behavior belonged to them, but his response belonged to him. You cannot control what someone says about you. You cannot control whether they respect you. You cannot control whether they understand you, but you can decide whether they are allowed to live inside your mind. This is one of the strongest forms of emotional independence. Other people are allowed to behave badly without receiving control of your mind in return. So, the next time someone tries to provoke you, remember, they can offer you anger, but you don't have to accept the delivery. Your mind is your territory. Stop giving strangers the keys. Rule 5. View your emotions from the outside. When you're trapped inside an emotion, it feels enormous. Anger feels permanent. Fear feels like certainty. Embarrassment feels like the entire world is watching you. A small problem can suddenly feel like your entire life. But the Stoics practiced something powerful. They changed their perspective. Imagine stepping outside yourself for a moment. See yourself sitting in your room. Then imagine rising above your home, above your street, above your city, higher and higher, until thousands of homes, streets, cars, and people become tiny points below you. Every person down there has problems. Someone is worried about money. Someone is afraid of losing their job. Someone is recovering from failure. Someone is grieving. Someone is arguing with a person they love. And somewhere among all those lives, there you are, still thinking about that comment, that argument, that mistake, that unanswered message. The Stoics used this perspective to remind themselves of something important. Your problem may be real, but your emotions can make it appear much larger than it actually is. Now ask yourself, will this still matter 1 year from now? Will you remember the rude comment, the embarrassing moment, the stranger who criticized you, the argument that ruined your afternoon? Maybe, but most of the time, you won't. And if something won't matter 1 year from now, be careful how much of today you sacrifice to it. Perspective doesn't make your problems disappear. It does something better. It restores them to their proper size. So when your emotions make everything feel enormous, step back, look again, and remember, you are experiencing a moment, not your entire life. Rule 6. Use difficult people as training. This is where Stoicism becomes uncomfortable, because the person who irritates you may actually be useful. Marcus Aurelius began one of his most famous meditations by preparing himself for the people he would meet that day. The ungrateful, the arrogant, the dishonest, the jealous, the selfish, the difficult. Why would the most powerful man in Rome begin his day thinking about difficult people? Because he understood something important. What you expect cannot surprise you as easily. If you expect everyone to be reasonable, every unreasonable person becomes a shock. If you expect everyone to respect you, every insult feels personal. If you expect everyone to behave the way you would, you will spend your life disappointed. But Marcus Aurelius expected human beings to behave like human beings, imperfectly, emotionally, sometimes selfishly, sometimes unfairly. And instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" the Stoic asks, "What can this train in me?" The rude customer trains your patience, the arrogant co-worker trains your self-control, the person who criticizes you trains your confidence, the dishonest person trains your judgment, the person who provokes you trains your discipline. Suddenly, difficult people become something different. They become resistance, and resistance is how strength is built. Think about a gym. Your muscles don't grow because the weights are easy. They grow because the weights resist you. Your character works the same way. Patience cannot develop if nobody tests your patience. Courage cannot develop if nothing scares you. Self-control cannot develop if nothing provokes you. So the next time someone makes your life difficult, before you become angry, ask yourself, what is this person giving me the opportunity to practice? Patience, discipline, courage, restraint. Maybe the person testing you today is unknowingly helping build the person you need to become tomorrow. The obstacle becomes the training, and your character becomes the muscle. Rule 7. Win the battle before you go to sleep. Emotional control isn't built in one dramatic moment. It's built through repetition, one reaction at a time, one decision at a time, one day at a time. And one of the best times to train it is before you go to sleep. Seneca practiced a simple but powerful habit. At the end of the day, he would examine his own behavior, not to punish himself, not to feel guilty, but to become better tomorrow. Think about your own day. Maybe someone made you angry. Maybe you reacted too quickly. Maybe fear stopped you from doing something you knew you should do. Maybe you allowed someone's opinion to affect you more than it deserved. Most people simply carry those emotions into the next day. The Stoic does something different. The Stoic studies them. Tonight, before you go to sleep, ask yourself 3 questions. First, what did I handle well today? Maybe you stayed calm when you could have argued. Maybe you walked away instead of reacting. Recognize it, because that's progress. Second, where did my emotions control me? Don't make excuses, don't blame the other person, just observe what happened. Where did anger make the decision? Where did fear take control? Where did your ego speak before your reason could? And then ask the final question, what will I do differently next time? This is where reflection becomes training, because you cannot change the reaction you had yesterday, but you can prepare for the reaction you will have tomorrow. Imagine doing this every night for 1 year. Every mistake becomes a lesson. Every difficult conversation becomes information. Every emotional reaction becomes an opportunity to understand yourself. Little by little, you become harder to provoke, harder to manipulate, harder to disturb. Not because the world became easier, because you became more disciplined. So tonight, before you close your eyes, don't just ask whether you had a good day, ask whether you became a little stronger because of it. Emotional strength isn't something you're simply born with, it's trained. One reaction at a time, one difficult moment at a time, one day at a time. The goal of Stoicism is not to become emotionless. It is not to stop feeling anger, fear, disappointment, pain. The goal is to stop allowing those emotions to decide who you become. Real strength is feeling anger without becoming cruel, feeling fear without surrendering, feeling disappointment without collapsing, feeling insulted without losing your dignity. Because the world will continue testing you, people will misunderstand you, plans will fail, someone will criticize you, someone will disappoint you, and someone may even betray you. You cannot build a life where none of these things happen, but you can build a mind that doesn't belong to them. Remember the 7 rules. Pause before you react. Separate the event from the story. Control what belongs to you. Never hand someone else the remote control. Step back and restore perspective. Turn difficult people into training and examine yourself every day. Practice these long enough and something begins to change. The world may remain chaotic. People may remain difficult. Life may remain unpredictable, but you become harder to disturb. And that is one of the greatest freedoms Stoicism can give you. You don't need the world to become calmer. You need to become stronger. If you want to build a calmer, stronger, and more disciplined mind, subscribe to Stoic Veritas. Here, we don't study Stoicism just to understand it. We practice it to become stronger. And remember, the strongest person in the room isn't always the loudest. Sometimes, it's the one who cannot be provoked.